I woke up to the sound of my daughter rifling through my purse. The room spun. My mouth tasted like copper and something chemical. Through half-closed eyes, I watched Emily's silhouette against the balcony doors, her hands moving quickly through my belongings. She thought I was unconscious. I needed her to keep thinking that. Let me back up. 3 weeks ago, Emily called about my 70th birthday. Mom, Brett and I want to do something special. A real celebration. You've been working so hard since Dad passed. Her voice had that bright, over-eager quality I'd learned to recognize. The same tone she used when she needed money in college, when she called about their medical bills, when Brett's business opportunity fell through. But it was my birthday, and Emily was my daughter, my only child. After Richard died 2 years ago, the holidays felt hollow. The house felt too big. Maybe she was trying. Maybe this time would be different. We found this amazing resort in Cancun, she continued. All inclusive. Right on the beach. 4 days, 3 nights. Our treat. I should have questioned it. Emily and Brett struggled financially. They'd moved 3 times in 2 years, always downsizing. But I wanted to believe. I'd spent 40 years as an accountant, managing other people's money, watching their mistakes. I was supposed to be smarter than this. That sounds wonderful, honey. There's just one thing. Here it came. Could you maybe cover the flights? Brett's bonus doesn't come through until next month, but we really want to do this for you. I bought the flights. And somehow, gradually, I ended up paying for the rooms too. The resort made a mistake with our card, Emily explained. Can you put it on yours? We'll pay you back. They never paid me back. But I went. I packed my favorite sundress, the turquoise one Richard always loved. I brought the legal documents I'd been meaning to discuss with Emily, my will, the deed to the house I'd just sold, the bank statements showing where I'd invested the proceeds. I was 70 years old and getting my affairs in order. Emily was my daughter. She deserved to understand what she'd inherit, how to manage it responsibly. The resort was beautiful. White sand beaches, infinity pools, palm trees swaying in the evening breeze. Our rooms were on the 3rd floor, balconies overlooking the ocean. Emily and Brett's room was right next door to mine, separated by a shared wall so thin I could hear their TV at night. The first day was lovely. We had lunch by the pool. Emily asked about the old neighborhood, people I hadn't thought about in years. Brett was attentive, pulling out my chair, bringing me drinks with little umbrellas. To Margaret, he toasted at dinner, the woman who taught Emily everything about being strong. I felt guilty for my earlier suspicions. That night, I couldn't sleep. The time difference? Maybe. The unfamiliar sounds. I sat on my balcony, watching the moon on the water, and heard them through the wall. Did you see the bank statements? Brett's voice. She has them in the room safe. I saw her put the folder in. Emily. How much again? The house sold for $480, plus her retirement accounts, Dad's life insurance. Brett, it's over $1 million. A pause. And she's leaving it all to you? That's what she said. When we were having lunch, she kept talking about making sure I'm taken care of. So why wait? My hands gripped the balcony railing. The ocean suddenly seemed very far away. What do you mean? Emily's voice was careful. I mean, why wait? Your mom's 70. She could live another 20 years. We need money now, Em. The collectors won't stop calling. We're 3 months behind on the car. They're going to repossess it. I know, but, and whose fault is that? Brett's voice turned sharp. I told you not to co-sign for your cousin's loan. I told you that business venture was a scam, but you never listen. You're just like your mother, too trusting. Silence. Then Emily, quieter. What are you suggesting? I'm saying she's elderly. Accidents happen, especially on vacation, especially when someone's been drinking. Brett. She had 3 margaritas at dinner, I counted. Tomorrow, we suggest she take one of your sleep aids, just to help with the jet lag. She'll be relaxed, a little disoriented. Balconies can be dangerous. People lean too far, lose their balance. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't happening. This was my daughter, the girl I'd raised, put through college, supported through every crisis, the woman I'd taught to ride a bike, who used to leave me Mother's Day cards made from construction paper. I don't know if I can, Emily started. Can what? We're talking about speeding up the inevitable. She's old, Em. This is just accelerating the timeline. And think about it, no nursing home bills eating through the inheritance, no years of her declining, needing care. Quick, painless, almost a mercy. But the police will see an elderly tourist who had too much to drink and fell from her balcony. These things happen all the time. We'll be devastated. You'll inherit. We'll pay off the debts. Start fresh. Maybe even buy a house. Another long silence. Then Emily. The sleep pills are in my toiletry bag. I made it to the bathroom before I vomited. My daughter, my Emily, the baby I'd held at 3 a.m. During colic fits, the toddler who wouldn't sleep without her stuffed rabbit, the teenager who cried on my shoulder after her first heartbreak. She'd just agreed to murder me. I gripped the sink, staring at my reflection. My face was pale, eyes wide. I looked old, vulnerable, everything they thought I was, but I wasn't. I was Margaret Hayes, CPA. I'd spent 4 decades finding discrepancies in financial records, spotting fraud, protecting my clients' assets. I'd negotiated my late husband's medical bills down to 30 cents on the dollar. I'd reported embezzlement schemes that sent 3 executives to prison. I was 70 years old, not dead, and I certainly wasn't going to let my own daughter push me off a balcony. I needed a plan. First, I went through every drawer in my room. The resort provided a small safe. I moved my documents there, setting a code Emily wouldn't guess. Then I looked at my toiletries. I'd brought my own sleep medication, prescribed after Richard died. I'd stopped taking it months ago, but I still carried the bottle. I could pretend to take one of Emily's pills, fake being drowsy, disoriented. Let them think their plan was working, but I needed more than that. I needed evidence. I needed witnesses. The next morning, I went down to breakfast early. Emily and Brett were still sleeping. The resort restaurant was quiet. Just a few early risers and staff preparing the buffet. A woman about my age was setting up the coffee station. Her name tag read Maria. She had kind eyes and hands that moved with practiced efficiency. "Good morning," I said. "Coffee smells wonderful. Fresh pot. You're up early." Her accent was local, her English perfect. "Couldn't sleep. Time difference. First visit to Cancun? With my daughter and son-in-law. It's my birthday trip." Something in my voice must have wavered because Maria looked up sharply. "Everything okay?" I made a decision. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was desperation. But I'd spent 70 years reading people, and Maria's eyes told me she could be trusted. "Can I ask you something?" I kept my voice low. "If a guest needed help, the kind of help that couldn't go through official channels, would you know someone?" Maria set down the coffee pot. "What kind of help?" "The kind where someone's family might not have their best interests at heart." Her expression shifted. She'd seen this before. "You have 10 minutes before the morning rush. Talk fast," I told her. Not everything, but enough. The overheard conversation. The plan to drug me. The balcony. Maria's jaw tightened. "I've worked here 12 years. Last year, a woman fell from a 4th-floor balcony. Her son inherited everything. Police said it was an accident." She pulled out her phone. "My cousin, Raphael, is security. He's seen things. Can I trust you to be smart about this? I was an accountant for 40 years. Smart is all I know." "Good, because here's what we're going to do." By the time Emily and Brett came down for breakfast, I had a plan. "Mom, there you are." Emily kissed my cheek. She smelled like the vanilla body spray she'd used since high school. "Did you sleep okay?" "Not great. The time difference, I think." Brett pulled out my chair. "You should take something tonight. Em has these great sleep aids. All natural. They'll help." "That's sweet of you," I smiled. "Maybe I will." We spent the day at the beach. I played my part perfectly, the slightly forgetful mother. A little too much sun, a little too many drinks at lunch. I feel a bit woozy, I said, fanning myself with a resort menu. Let's get you back to the room, Emily said, concern in her voice. Or was it anticipation? In my room, I made a show of struggling with the key card. These things are impossible. Brett took it from me. Here, let me. He swiped us in. Why don't you rest before dinner? I think I will. I sat heavily on the bed. Emily, honey, could you get me those sleep pills you mentioned? I really think I need them. She exchanged a glance with Brett. Of course, Mom. I'll be right back. The moment the door closed, I moved. I took my own pill bottle from my suitcase and swapped it with the one Emily brought back. My pills were blue, hers were white, but in the dim lighting of the room, with me playing confused and tired, she wouldn't notice me palming the swap. Here, Mom. She handed me a pill and a glass of water. I made a show of struggling to get it to my mouth, taking a shaky sip. The pill went under my tongue. Thank you, sweetheart. Just rest. We'll wake you for dinner. They left. I spat out the pill, wrapped it in tissue, and put it in the safe. Evidence. Then I waited. An hour later, I heard them in the hallway. A soft knock. Mom? You awake? I didn't answer. The door clicked. They had a key card. Of course they did. They'd helped me check in. Probably gotten an extra card from the front desk. I kept my breathing slow, regular. I'd positioned myself on the bed near the balcony, one arm hanging off the side. An old woman, deeply asleep, vulnerable. She's out. Brett's whisper. Emily's footsteps approached. I felt her lean over me, checking. Mom? She shook my shoulder gently. I let my head loll. Good. Help me look for the documents. They moved efficiently, quietly. I heard drawers opening. The closet, my suitcase. They're not here, Emily hissed. She said she brought them. Check the safe. I don't know the code. Try her birthday. Or your dad's. They tried several combinations. The safe didn't open. I'd used the date Richard and I first met something Emily had never known. Forget it, Brett said. We don't need the physical documents. She told you she's leaving everything to you. That's enough. But what if there are other beneficiaries? What if she changed her mind? Then we make sure no one looks too closely. Grief-stricken daughter. Tragic accident. Quick cremation. By the time anyone thinks to ask questions, it'll be too late. My skin crawled, but I stayed still. I can't believe we're doing this, Emily's voice cracked. We don't have a choice. We're drowning, Em. This is survival. She's my mother. She's 70 years old. She's had a good life. We're 42, and we're about to lose everything. The car, the apartment, our credit. Your mother would understand. She's practical, I guess. Come on, let's get this over with. Footsteps approached. Hands gripped my arms. They were going to move me to the balcony. Now, I opened my eyes. Emily screamed. Hi, honey, I said. We need to talk. Brett's hands dropped from my arms. They both stumbled backward. Mom, you're awake, Emily stammered. Very. I sat up, smoothing my sundress. I've been awake this whole time. Well, except for last night when I heard your interesting conversation through the wall. That kept me awake quite a bit. Brett's face went white. You heard everything. The plan to drug me, push me off the balcony, make it look like an accident. Really, Brett, accelerating the timeline? That's cold even for you. Mom, it's not, we weren't actually going to. Emily's voice was desperate. Weren't you? I stood. My legs were steadier than they'd been in days. Adrenaline is remarkable, because from where I'm standing, you just broke into my room, checked to make sure I was unconscious, and were physically moving me toward the balcony. What exactly was the plan at that point? Silence. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to leave this room. You're going to pack your things, and you're going to check out of this resort immediately. You can't, Brett started. I can. I paid for the rooms, remember? My name is on the reservation. Security is already aware of the situation. You told security? Emily's face crumpled. I told someone better. Someone who's seen this before. I walked to the room phone and dialed 0. Yes, this is Margaret Hayes, in room 312. Could you please send Raphael from security to my room? Thank you. Mom, please. Do you know what the worst part is? My voice shook now. I couldn't help it. Not that you wanted my money. Not even that you were willing to kill me for it. It's that you thought I was too old, too trusting, too confused to notice. You thought I was weak. That's not true, Emily whispered. Isn't it? You've been treating me like I'm senile for 2 years, since your father died. Poor Margaret, all alone, doesn't know what to do with herself. Needs her daughter to help her with her finances, her decisions, her life. A knock at the door. Raphael entered, a tall man with sharp eyes and a security uniform. Behind him, Maria. Mrs. Hayes, Raphael said. You called? Yes. These 2 people broke into my room. I'd like them escorted from the property. Brett lunged. She's lying. She's our mother. She's confused. She invited us. I have cameras, Raphael said calmly. He pulled out a tablet, turned it to show the screen. This is the hallway 20 minutes ago. Your mother's door. You used a key card to enter while she was allegedly sleeping. You were not invited. Emily started crying. We weren't going to hurt her. We just needed money, I finished. I know. But here's the thing, Emily. If you needed money, you could have asked. I've given you money before, paid your medical bills, co-signed your apartment lease, loaned you $10,000 for Brett's business opportunity that you never paid back. I was going to. No, you weren't. And I was okay with that. You're my daughter. I wanted to help. But this? I gestured around the room, planning to murder me? That's where I draw the line. Raphael spoke into his radio. I need a unit to room 314. Escort 2 guests from the property. What about the police? Maria asked quietly. I looked at Emily. My baby, the girl who used to bring me dandelions and call them flowers, who wore my high heels around the house, who told me I was the best mom in the world. I haven't decided yet, I said. 2 more security officers arrived. They flanked Brett and Emily. Your bags will be packed and brought to the lobby, Raphael said. You have 1 hour to leave resort property. If you return, you'll be arrested for trespassing. Mom, please. Emily reached for me. I stepped back. Don't. They left. Emily sobbing, Brett silent, furious. When the door closed, my legs gave out. I sat hard on the bed. Maria sat beside me, her hand on my shoulder. You did good, she said. Did I? I let them go, for now. But you have evidence. The pill I saw you hide. Raphael's camera footage. Your testimony. That's enough for police if you want to press charges. She's my daughter. She tried to kill you. I know. I put my face in my hands. God, I know. Raphael cleared his throat. Mrs. Hayes, I need to file a report. What would you like me to include? I thought about it. Emily's face when she was 5, showing me her first drawing. Emily's face an hour ago, checking to make sure I was unconscious enough to murder. Everything, I said finally. Include everything. I want the police called. I want charges filed. Attempted theft, breaking and entering. Attempted. Whatever the legal term is for planning to throw your mother off a balcony. Are you sure? Maria asked gently. I'm 70 years old. I survived cancer, a husband with dementia, 40 years in a male-dominated profession, and the 2008 financial crisis. I'm not going to let my daughter's bad choices kill me. Raphael nodded. I'll make the call. The police came that evening. I gave my statement. Showed them the pill I'd hidden. Played them the recording I'd made on my phone. I'd turned it on when Brett and Emily entered the room, captured the whole conversation. You're very thorough, the detective said. He was young, maybe 30. I was an accountant. Thorough is what I do. Emily and Brett were arrested at the airport. Attempting to flee the country didn't help their case. The resort comped my room for the rest of the stay. "We're so sorry this happened," the manager said. "This isn't what Cancun is about." "I know," I told him. "This is what family is about sometimes." I spent the next 2 days on the beach with Maria. She had mornings off, would bring me coffee, and sit in the chair beside mine. "What will you do now?" she asked. "Press charges, testify, make sure they face consequences." I meant after. "Where will you go?" I thought about my empty house, the 2 quiet rooms, the holidays alone. "I don't know. The house is sold. I was going to move somewhere smaller, but I haven't decided where. My sister runs a senior community in Arizona," Maria said. "Independent living, but with activities, community, people who actually want to be around each other, not because they're obligated. Chosen family instead of blood family?" Exactly. I watched the waves. Thought about Emily, who I'd loved since before she was born, who I'd protected, supported, enabled, who'd tried to kill me for my money. "Tell me more about Arizona," I said. 6 months later, I sat in a courtroom and watched my daughter sentenced to 18 months for attempted theft and conspiracy to commit assault. Brett got 2 years. Their lawyer tried to argue diminished capacity, financial desperation, but the recording was clear. The premeditation was obvious. Emily looked at me once. I didn't look away. Afterward, the prosecutor asked if I felt justice was served. "I feel like I did what I had to do," I told her. "That's not the same thing." "No, but it's enough." I moved to Arizona. The senior community Maria's sister ran was beautiful little casitas arranged around a central courtyard, a pool, a garden where we grew vegetables. I met women my age who'd been engineers, teachers, business owners, who'd lost husbands, children, their whole previous lives, and built new ones. We played cards on Thursday nights, book club on Tuesdays. I taught a financial literacy class once a month, how to protect yourself and your assets. It was popular. Emily writes me sometimes, letters from prison, explaining, apologizing, begging. I read them, I don't respond. Maybe someday I will. Maybe when she's served her time, gotten help, proven she's changed. Maybe I'll forgive her, but I'll never trust her again. And I'll never forget that my own daughter looked at me and saw dollar signs instead of a person. On my 71st birthday, my book club threw me a party. We had cake, champagne, terrible karaoke. Maria flew in from Cancun, bringing tequila and stories. To Margaret, she toasted, the woman who taught us, "You're never too old to save your own life." We drank. We laughed. We told stories about our children, the good ones, the disappointing ones, the ones who tried to kill us for inheritance money. "You think she'll change?" someone asked me later. "Your daughter?" "I don't know," I said honestly. "I hope so, for her sake. And if she doesn't?" I looked around the courtyard, at these women who'd become my family, at the life I'd built from nothing, at 71 years of surviving, adapting, refusing to be a victim. "Then I'll be fine anyway," I said. And I was.